I wasn't expecting my father's inheritance or anything like that. However, the fact that he let my self-centered brother inherit this house, leaving me with nothing, was very shocking and unbearable for me. Seeing me in dismay, my sister-in-law was giggling right in front of me. "Now you know. So get out of the house, you beggar." My brother and sister-in-law grabbed my mother's and my hands to kick us out of the house Frosty, and my mother fell and injured her knee. How could they do something so cruel? I married my husband Castian 3 years ago. We met through a mutual friend, and we bonded over a conversation about our hobbies. Kashtan is kind and very calm. Being with him gives me a strange sense of reassurance. Since we met, we haven't had a single argument, and I believe it's thanks to Kashtan, who has a big heart. At the beginning of our marriage, we didn't have much money, so my parents let us live with them. The house that my parents inherited from my grandfather is a mansion with a large plot of land, so we had no problem living all together. There are so many rooms in the house, so our privacy was well protected. Moreover, whether my father's spending habit was good or bad, he treated us to lots of delicious food, gave us presents on birthdays and Christmas, and even bought me a car. When he bought the car for me, I felt quite guilty. But I still cherish it, and I've been using it to this day. I'm grateful for my generous father. While we were living happily, my brother and his wife suddenly came to the family home 2 years ago. My brother Raymond, who is 7 years older than me, has always had a selfish personality since childhood. He gets angry if things don't go his way.
Listen, from now on, we'll be living in this house too.
Huh? Why all of a sudden?
I'm the eldest son, you know. It's only natural for me to take care of our parents.
You're saying quite audacious things even though you've never really cared about them until now.
Anyway, we're planning to move in right away. It will be cramped with you guys around, so move out quickly.
With those words, my husband and I were suddenly kicked out of the house. I can't imagine being cramped in this large house. I had a vague sense of my brother's intentions. I complained a lot, but Keston, who dislikes conflicts, said, "At least it's okay. Maybe we've been relying too much on your parents, just like your brother said."
Just like your brother said, it's time for us to leave this house. Isn't it about time we started taking care of ourselves?
Castian encouraged me, and we decided to move out. Because I had Castian, who was calm beside me, I was able to calm down. Around that time, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And by the time we found out, it had already progressed significantly. I had hoped to spend some time with my father at home while he was still in good health. But that didn't happen. In no time at all, the disease took over his body, and he passed away a month ago. I wish I could have spent more time with him. I wish I could have talked to him more. I wish I could have laughed with him more. Every day, I feel more and more regret. I'm sure for my mother, who was with him for so long, it must be even sadder and more painful. I felt frustrated not being able to be there for her. During such a time, I received an unbelievable call from my brother.
I cut ties with that old hag with no money and kicked her out of the house. So come pick her up right away.
What are you talking about?
I'm not kidding. If you come here, you'll see. We have no use for her because she's not getting any money as Dad's inheritance. She's just a burden.
Because our father had spent money recklessly, he had debts. And after settling those, there was no inheritance left, they said. However, it still doesn't make sense that my mother is being kicked out of her own house now that our father has passed away. The family house belongs to our mother.
I don't care, but if you don't come here quickly, it will be dark soon. If you're going to let Mom sleep outside, it's fine by me, though.
How could you say that? I'll never forgive you.
It doesn't matter. I don't care about you.
As I was about to retort, my brother hung up the phone. I called him back immediately, but no matter how many times I called, he never answered. To confirm, I called my mother's cell phone, and it seemed my brother's story was indeed true. Anyway, I'm heading there right away, so wait for me. Trembling with worry for my mother and anger at my brother, I drove to our family home, which is about an hour away. It's just so shameful that my biological brother would do this while we are still mourning after our father passed away. An hour later, when I arrived at the family home, I was filled with anger and sadness. When I arrived at the family home, my mother was sitting on her suitcase by the front door, looking lost. Man? The front door was locked and she told me that my brother took away the key she had been using.
Mom,
The key she had been using. How far will he go? I absolutely cannot forgive him. Using the key I had, I entered the house with my mother, only to find my brother and sister-in-law lounging on the couch, watching TV and laughing loudly.
what are you two doing so carefree?
What? How did you get in?
I have the key to this house, too.
Alright, I've gotten... Just leave the key and take away the old hack somewhere.
No, I won't. What kind of son would kick his own mother out? Even after paying off Dad's debts, we were able to keep this house. Then isn't this supposed to be Mom's house? Mom has the right to live here.
What? What are you talking about? This is ridiculous.
Ignoring my words, my brother kept watching TV. Hey! Annoyed, I turned off the TV.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm saying she has a right to inherit the house.
If you don't want to live with her, then you guys should leave. Shut up! This house is mine.
Huh? Are you crazy?
Dad gave me this house before he passed away. You don't know anything, so stop causing a fuss.
Huh? What do you mean? Dad wouldn't have given you something like this.
When I looked at my mother, she was tilting her head in confusion. Then my brother smirked and brought what looked like an envelope from another room. Look at this.
It's proof that I inherited this house.
Inside the envelope were documents providing the inheritance prepared by a legal professional and the property rights certificate for the house. About a month before our father passed away, he changed the ownership of the house.
I can't believe it.
Both my mother and I, who were unaware of this, were shocked when we saw the documents.
Why, Dad? Why did you give the house to Raymond without discussing with Mom?
He's stupid. Obviously, it's because he loved me. Mom would have taken the house after Dad died. So I taught him to give it to me while he was still alive, and he did it right away.
That's unbelievable.
No matter how many times I looked at the documents, the house was registered under my brother's name.
Did he have to go this far?
My mother muttered quietly and she looked stunned.
Mom, you should be happy that there's no more debt. You don't have time to worry about Mom either. He didn't leave even a penny for you.
The balance in the bank book which my brother handed to me was 0. I was really expecting any inheritance from my father. However, the fact that he let my self-centered brother inherit this house, leaving me with nothing, was very shocking and unbearable for me. Seeing me in dismay, my sister-in-law was giggling right in front of me.
Now you know, so get out of the house, you beggar.
My brother and sister-in-law grabbed my mother's and my hands to kick us out of the house forcibly, and my mother fell and injured her knee.
Oh no, are you okay, Mom? I'm fine with something like this.
Seeing my gentle mother smile quietly, I couldn't stop my tears.
Mom, our place is small, but come to our place.
But don't worry about Cashton.
I'll talk to him.
I immediately called Cashton and explained the situation.
Umash, when we got married, your mother welcomed us with open arms. Now it's time for us to return the favor. I feel bad because our place is small, but I want her to come to live with us.
Oh, thank you.
Castian, who is calm and has a big heart, said in a kind voice. I was so happy that I married Castian. I brought my mother to our place that day and we started living together. However, our home was small.
Nicole, I'm sorry that our place is so small.
You don't need to worry about that. I'm just grateful that you are letting me stay here.
No, we feel really bad. So Alice and I are thinking about moving to a slightly bigger place. Please bear with it a little longer.
While Keston and I were talking about finding a new place, my mother's phone rang. Perhaps because we were talking, she went to the kitchen and talked there for a while.
After she hung up the phone, she said something unbelievable. Thank you for worrying about me. I really appreciate it. If that's the case, why don't we move to my condo?
What? What do you mean by your condo?
My mother's completely unexpected words took us by surprise.
She explained to us who were in shock. My grandfather, who was wealthy, seemed to have been quite extravagant, and he would spend all the money he had. He was the type to casually take on debts. So my grandmother would reluctantly sell the fields and lands they had to pay off the debt, every time. My mother sensed that my father was the same kind of person as my grandfather. As the only asset was that house. She felt very anxious about life after their retirement. She told us that before she got married, she invested the money she earned from her job in real estate. When she said that aside from the condo, she also owns an apartment. She had earned quite a substantial amount of money from renting them out. I was so surprised that I almost fell off my back.
Hold on, it's so crazy that I can't keep up. I'm sorry I kept this a secret until now.
I'm certainly not poor, you know. And just now I received a call from the management company, and they said that one of the units in the condo I was renting out will be vacant next month. What do you think?
What? We can live in the condo?
There's no reason to refuse such a generous offer. Moreover, it's just a short walk from the station, and it's a spacious 3-bedroom condo. Since the place we're living right now is a 1-bedroom apartment, we can live more comfortably in the condo.
Thank you, Mom. But we can probably only pay for the rent as much as we pay at our current apartment.
Don't worry about that. You don't have to pay anything. I'm the one who's grateful to you.
Nicole, that's not right. Even among family, we need to handle these things properly.
That's right. I'll make sure we pay the rent properly. Anyway, we need to tell the landlord of the current apartment that we are moving out soon.
At this sudden turn of events, both Kashtan and I couldn't help but smile. Even my mother's face lit up as she watched us. With this, we moved to the condo. About 2 months into the new life, when I went out to the entrance to go shopping for dinner, my brother and his wife suddenly appeared.
Raymond,
Why is a poor person like you living in this condo? What's going on? You can't afford to live in a place like this, even if you borrow money, can you? Did you hit a jackpot at the horse race or something?
Of course, Nasnat. I don't engage in gambling activities.
Then how does Mom own it?
Both my brother and sister-in-law exclaimed, "What?" at the same time, with their mouths open as they looked up at the condo. Seeing their silly expressions, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. In response, my brother's face turned bright red and he started getting angry.
What the heck, that old hag? She pretended to be broke and actually owned a place like this? I can't forgive her for keeping this a secret.
first of all, Mom never said anything about owning a condo. She did have money. You just assumed that, right? Besides, since you inherited a big house.
As I said this, my brother's face turned even more red. And he yelled loudly,
It is a big deal.
Hey, stop yelling so loudly here. You are bothering other people. But seriously, how did you find out about this place?
I found it strange. So I checked the location of her phone, and that's how I ended up here.
You wanted to contact Mom? What do you want now? Well, it's probably about something ridiculous anyway.
It's none of your business. Anyway, let me see Mom. She's here, isn't she?
You gotta be kidding me. I'd hate to see our mother get hurt again. Just leave.
Huh?
Just let me see Mom. You've been living comfortably in that mansion. You still have something to complain? Mom doesn't have anything to say to you. Alright, I'm leaving then.
as I tried to leave my brother and sister-in-law. My brother grabbed my arm tightly.
Ouch. Let go. I'll call the police. When I said that, my brother smirked and said, "The police won't come for a simple sibling quarrel, you know? I just grabbed your arm so you can't even file a complaint. Just let me see Mom."
Since my arm was being held, I couldn't move, so I reluctantly agreed to let him see Mom. But I asked him first why he wanted to see her.
That old rundown house. The utility bills are ridiculously high. We just used the air conditioning, and the electric bill was $500. It's ridiculous.
Our family home has over 7 bedrooms, so it's understandable that the utility bills are high. But $500 sounds a little bit too high. This year was so hot that they probably used the air conditioning as much as they wanted. I thought that you'd know that the electric bill would be high with the house that big.
How would I know that?
Until now, that old hag had been paying the utility bills. What?
At least you knew that, right, Kelly?
How could I possibly know that?
Both my brother and sister-in-law were angry. They were angry for the wrong reason. I continued, "Well, let me ask this. Do you know that the property tax for that house is nearly $5,000 per year?"
Well, I had a feeling, but I was right. The tax for that house can't be that much. How on earth are we supposed to pay for it?
I'm baffled. Even if the house is old, the property is large, so naturally the tax will be around that much. Also, apparently the tax for the gift you receive before the giver passes away is higher than the tax for inheritance, so you will need to set aside some money for that too. No way. I heard it from Mom, so it's not a lie.
When I explained this, the faces of my brother and sister-in-law gradually turned pale.
Then, my sister-in-law, who had hardly said anything, started blaming my brother.
What are you gonna do? It's your fault for not researching properly about this.
Shut up. I went to a lot of trouble to get my dad to put it in my name.
How can you say that now?
It's because you're always scheming, Raymond.
But even Dad thought it would be better to pass it on to me, the eldest son, rather than to Mom or you.
Hearing those words, I felt a sense of sadness. Dad prioritized my brother over Mom and me. He was so loving to me. What was I to Dad? As I was thinking this, my brother said something unbelievable.
You can't have that house. Let's trade the house and condo.
What? What nonsense are you spewing? The condo isn't mine. It belongs to Mom. That's why you should talk to her, please.
Fine, I'll just pass on the message, alright?
Dealing with my selfish brother is a waste of time. He's being ridiculous. Frustrated by my brother and sister-in-law, I decided not to go shopping. And as I was getting back into the condo from the entrance, my brother and sister-in-law tried to come in with me. How shameless can they be?
I'll sue you for trespassing. I already told you that you can't sue a family member for that.
My selfish and naive brother would have to learn the hard way. I was fed up, and I called out to the condo manager in the office located beside the entrance.
Mr. Smith, please call the security guard. People who don't live here are trying to force their way in.
Say, wait.
The security guard on standby 24/7 rushed over immediately. My brother and sister-in-law were intimidated by the security guard, who looked big and strong.
I'm telling you this because you don't seem to know. But the only crimes that they won't be charged for if they are your family members are theft, fraud, and extortion embezzlement. If you try to force your way into this condo, I will call the police. If I see you or your wife in this condo, I will call the police. If I see you or your wife here again, I'll report you to the police. Remember that. Go back to the house you got from Dad quickly. Perhaps afraid of being reported, my brother and sister-in-law quickly fled.
I hurried back to my condo and reported the exchange with my brother and sister-in-law to my mother.
Why did Dad let Raymond inherit the house when Raymond is such a horrible person? As I was feeling down, my mother said while smiling gently, "At least Dad knew what he was doing."
I think he let Raymond inherit the house because he didn't want to burden you or me.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, your dad, he was always generous and didn't care much about money, but he always treasured me. And of course, he felt the same way about you, Elise. He would always say you are so adorable.
Huh? He did?
My mother's words made me very happy. I was loved by Dad, and actually the reason why my mother said, "Did he have to go this far before being kicked out of the house?" was because she realized that my father had punished my brother, who was always selfish. You knew how Dad was feeling?
Of course, I was with him for almost 40 years. I could understand what he was thinking. Even if he didn't say anything, there was no way that I was gonna let Raymond have an easy life when he never came to the hospital to visit your dad. Well, your dad wasn't feeling well in the first place.
I had thought that my brother and sister-in-law, who were living with my father, were taking care of him. However, they never took care of him at home, nor did they visit him when he was hospitalized.
Raymond and his wife would come, so you don't have to bother coming over. Dad had said to think that he was saying that because he cared about me. It almost made me cry.
I regret myself for having the blaming thoughts, such as, why did he give it to Raymond, even for a moment, towards my father?
Raymond is gonna have a hard time from now on. Well, he has lived an easy life up until now, so let's hope he'll do his best.
Mom said with a smile. After that, my brother and sister-in-law couldn't maintain the house on their own, so they apparently put it up for sale. However, there was nobody who wanted to buy, so they are still living there even after a year has passed. Amidst this, my brother's company went bankrupt. and he lost his job. He was in a hurry to find a job, but his ideals were so high that he couldn't seem to find a full-time job. Currently, they both work multiple part-time jobs day and night, and they hardly see each other. My brother and his wife are the ones who forcibly moved into that house and kicked my mother and me out. They are reaping what they sow. We are now living peacefully in a wonderful environment with the most amazing scenery, all thanks to our mother. Of course, I've also started a part-time job to pay the monthly rent. Since my mother helps with household chores, it's not hard for me at all. However, it seems that my mother is saving the money that I give her for the rent for us, so my husband and I won't struggle financially in the future. I have nothing but gratitude for my mother. From now on, Keston and I will do our best to repay my mother's kindness.